Welcome to Senate Judiciary. Senate Judiciary is back in session. We're doing HB 1217, an act permitting classification of individuals based on biological sex under certain limited circumstances. Welcome, Representative. Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Katie Peternell. I represent the towns of Wolfboro and Tuftonboro, Carroll District 6. And I am here to introduce one of a series of bills that are all on the same topic, permitting the classification of individuals based on biological sex. I am honored to be introducing this bill, but I really wish it was something that we didn't have to address anymore. I think we have certainly heard more than our share of bills on this topic. However, as long as we continue with this myth that men can be women and women can become men, these bills are going to continue to be necessary to be introduced, because I think we have the duty to protect women from men in their spaces.
Okay, you can, so does this encompass sports fields, bathrooms, prisons, and locker rooms, all four, or?
Prisons are not included in this. This one is athletic or sporting events, lavatories, and those two.
Okay. Questions? Go ahead, Senator Oshler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative. So if I understood your testimony correctly, are you saying that transgender people are a myth?
I did not say anything about transgender people. I said that men cannot be women and women cannot be men.
Follow up?
Nope.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bonnie, I think we pronounce it Bruno, right? Anyways, we'll move on. Bonnie, like Bruno. That's okay. No, it's not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Computing too much.
There you go.
Don't use a pen anymore. All right.
Thank you for coming today,
Thank
ma'am.
you. I timed this. Do we have are we under 2 minutes here?
So we're gonna do a minute 30, then I'll give you like 30 to wrap up.
Okay, because I did.
We were here till like 8 the other night, and the
I
staff.
appreciate
I
that.
gotta send the staff home at some point. So.
All right, I got it to under 2 though, so. Okay, thank you for having this hearing. My name is Bonnie Bruno Hollis, and I oppose HB 1217. In a recent hearing I attended in Reps Hall, a legislator was asked whether he was aware that over 1,000 voters had signed in online to oppose a CACR in question. That legislator responded, quote, "A lot of us understand that the folks who sign in are activists, and they're prompted to sign in." His comment was meant to negate the people who signed in. I was one of those people, and I showed up to testify. I participate in the legislative process, and if that classifies me as an activist in someone's eyes, so be it. But for my voice to be considered less equal because of it, especially by a legislator, not cool. House sign-ins show that only 25 voters support 1217, and over 600 oppose this bill. 1217 raises a similar concern about who are categorized and how we categorize and classify people. May be thought of and treated differently. Again, 1217 asks us to accept that two people living in the state may be treated differently under the law based on identity classification rather than conduct. What this bill and the thinking behind it misses, in my opinion, is that identity does not determine a person's conduct, character, or abilities, whether someone is safe or unsafe, more capable or less, or more deserving than privacy than another. 1217 moves us away from the principle that all granted status are afforded equal consideration under the law. In fact, 1217 acknowledges that such classifications raise concerns under existing anti-discrimination law, which is why this bill must seek to permit it. When the law shifts from addressing conduct to classifying people on identity in ways that negate equal consideration, that's not a step forward, it's a step backward. We should not legalize that framework.
You're good.
Thank you for letting me finish that.
Appreciate it. I don't see any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Deborah Jabowski. It's gotta be close. Maybe she doesn't want to testify. Okay, we'll move on. Bonnie Sims. Good afternoon.
Hi. Okay, thank you. Hello, Chairman Gannon and members of the committee. My name is Bronwyn Sims, and I'm here today as the Southern New Hampshire chapter leader of the Independent Women's Network, which supports practical policies that protect freedom, opportunity, and safety for women and girls. I proudly signed the amicus brief filed by the Independent Council on Women's Sports with 135 other female athletes in the U.S. Supreme Court case, United States versus Skermetti. I strongly support HB 1217, HB 1299, and HB 1447. These bills protect single-sex spaces based on biological sex for women and girls. Senator Deborah Altucher, I listened to your floor speech on HB
Ma'am,
1442.
I'd rather you not direct anything.
Okay,
personal.
that's fine.
Thank you.
As Jen sorry, you just threw me off, so
Yep.
I just got to go back. The obsession of this is for those who demand that girls surrender their privacy, safety, and fairness so a tiny minority can pretend sex can be changed. As Gen Spec experts have explained, gender identity is simply a subjective internal sense of self, a personal feeling with no foundation in chromosomes, gametes, or any measurable biological reality. It is a belief, not a fact, and it is not sex. This is happening right now in Peterborough at Conval High School, where the U.S. Department of Education opened a formal Title IX investigation on March 31st, 2026, because the district is actively violating Title IX by allowing biological males into girls' restrooms and locker rooms. When female students objected, the principal told them to stop using their own facilities, even saying boys don't belong in girls' locker rooms. It is labeled harassment. Similar Title IX violations are occurring in other New Hampshire schools.
You can finish up. Thank you.
Yep. As someone who has experienced male violence, I understand the real fear these policies create for women and girls. Many trans-identifying males are driven by autogynephilia, a sexual fetish where heterosexual men become aroused by presenting themselves as women.
Thank you, ma'am. If you have testimony, you're
Yep.
turned in.
No questions, please. Thank you very much.
Anyways,
And-
do you have questions or? No, okay. Representative Hopkins? Or something close to Hoplin? Reverend, okay. Thank you,
Hello.
Reverend.
I don't know a preacher can say anything in a minute and a half, but I'll give it my best shot.
You can. You'd have a busy parish if you were me.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to testify this morning. I'm Pastor Jonathan Hopkins, the pastor of Concordia Lutheran Church here in Concord, New Hampshire. And I'm just here to speak against all the bathroom bills. I speak today as a pastor and a father. There's a lot of talk about religious freedom these days, but what I don't hear in that discussion is anything about my freedom to practice my religion. A religion of loving my neighbor, about listening and understanding another person's story, especially if that story is different than mine, about justice for those who are at the mercy of the rich and powerful, a religion that speaks peace as much as possible, a religion not of laws but of mercy, a religion that does not see being trans as a sin, but merely as a true expression of one's true self. Where are my religious rights and how they're being brought forth in the body politic? I'm here today to stand for those rights and the rights of siblings in Christ who will be hurt by this bill. I've heard elected officials who bring forth these bills state, I don't hate trans people. Thought about that comment a lot, and I will take them at their word. But I believe that they don't hold any personal feeling against trans people. But one of the biblical words for love is agape. And when Jesus used that word, it's the highest form of love one can have. In Hebrew, the word is hesed. This is a love not about how we feel, it's about how we act towards others. And these bathroom bills are hateful and hurtful. You might not hate trans people, but your bills do. Finally, I want to speak as a father, as a trans son. And from the start, I just want to say, I see him as a man, But for those who have trouble with the truth, sorry, I'm done, I guess.
Keep going. No, finish.
Okay. Who have trouble with that truth and who don't see him as a man, I don't understand how you're going to enforce these laws. I don't think women would want my son who would use the woman's restroom. He looks like a man. He talks like a man. He dresses like a man. They might call the cops on him because a man used the woman's room. Are we going to ask people to show their genitals before using the bathrooms or playing sports? What is more likely? This will allow mob rule. It will allow bigoted people to abuse other people, and especially my child. And I'm concerned for the safety of my child. This bill hurts real people. As a Christian, I cannot stand by and not speak up for love. And as a father, I would not be doing my job if I didn't stand up for my child. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it. Yes, Senator, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your testimony today. And I think you made your child really, really proud of you today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hope
Thank
so.
you.
Thank you for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Representative O'Brien. Good afternoon,
Good
Representative.
afternoon, thank you. My name is Representative Catherine Prudhomme O'Brien. I am from Derry. And I'm going to start off with asking the question why separate facilities were created in the first place and what the motives probably were for that. And could we go back and think about that as we do when any legislation is created? And I don't think things have changed. The reasons for why they created those separate environments have not changed. A 2019 study from the United Kingdom about rates of sex offenders among incarcerated males, broken down by males who present as male and males who present as female, showed that about 17% of the males who presented as males were in for sex offenses. Interestingly enough, the males who presented as females, 59% of them were incarcerated for sex offenses. There's definitely a sexual component to this, and I think we should be able to talk about autogynephilia and not be afraid to do so. Autogynephilia is the term created by psychologist Ray Blanchard in '89 to describe
Chair,
males who are
Mr. Chair,
sexually
point of
You
attracted.
can stop for a second. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, this is the discredited science, and I would,
It's her testimony.
I have the right to discuss my opinions in this
It's her
forum.
opinion.
okay, in.
It's her opinion, so I'm gonna let her
In
do that.
your opinion, then.
In my opinion, thank you, as a survivor of sex abuse myself, and I also spoke to hundreds of convicted sex offenders within the prison system in the rape survivor support group that I was in for many years. Autogynephilia is when men are sexually aroused by the idea of themselves as a woman. I would prefer you not editorialize. Thank you very much.
I'll watch. Keep going. So.
In the professional opinion of the psychologist Ray Blanchard, who was studying this issue.
That's fine. Thank you.
The demand that others act as if they are female and that they are allowed in female intimate spaces is part of their fetish. And I am offended that it is expected of me to affirm a male as female and participate in the sexual fetish of a male who is a total stranger to me and to act as if this is normal when it is not. It is not unkind of me to tell the truth.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Representative Margaret Drepp. I'm saying it wrong, I'm sure. DR, looks like an EP. Okay, we'll move on. Lily Tang Williams. Is she out in the hallway? Oh, Lily, there you are. You were in front of me, then over there. You're working the room. Good for a politician. That's good. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Turn your mic on. I'm sorry. There's a button. You'll see the little red light come on, which it isn't there yet. Now you got it. Thank you very much, Lily.
Dear committee members, my name is Lily Tang Williams, a resident of Ware, American citizen by choice. I'm running for Congress in New Hampshire 2nd District. I strongly urge you to pass HB 1217, 1299, and 1447. As a survivor of communism, born and raised in China, many Americans might not know. Communists always use identity politics of oppressed versus oppressor to divide people. Instead of hate, and division and envy. When I was growing up, young people were mobilized under Mao as raid guards to destroy the old ideas, culture, habits, and custom. The Chinese regime trying to redefine social norms from the top down, canceling sex differences by promoting a unisex, genderless society. I was diminished, marginalized as a little girl. I was mandated to dress, act like a boy. When I was wearing what I'm wearing now as a woman's outfit, I was criticized. Girls were not protected for their safety and privacy. Abuse was very common. Women were not respected or treated with dignity. The underlying purpose was a form of collective utilitarian industrialization, in other words, slavery. I respect trans and their choice as adults, but I also want biological women to be protected in their sport and the private spaces. Women have been fighting for their rights, equal protection under the law for decades. Let us not destroy the progress we made in this great country. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Russian Chester? Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Russian Chester. I'm from Bedford, New Hampshire. I am here in support of this bill. I have a trans child who identifies as other than assigned at birth. I still support this bill. I love my child tremendously, and my heart is broken that this is their choice to never experience the kind of things that they would have been able to experience had they chosen to remain their gender assignment at birth. However, I still understand that it should be more important that children are allowed to feel comfortable wherever they may be. My trans child will continue to go into the bathroom that they feel comfortable in. They're an adult, just to clear that up. It's unlikely that anyone will even know that that trans child was not assigned what they appear today. The problem is that we have normalized something that should not ever have occurred. We have normalized men dressing up as women and being proud about it and walking into women's spaces. That's not something that should exist in this society. We have a lot of really great people who may identify differently than others. We have over 400 state representatives. We have a former state representative now who is serving time. Do I put all the state representatives in that one bucket and say because of that one individual that chose to identify as trans, no state representative should be trusted or go into a bathroom of their choice? Of course not. But I also should be able to feel comfortable as a woman walking into a woman's space and not finding a man dressed as a woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions? Seeing none, thank you. Question for you, Brendan. Side sitting. I know they don't like it upstairs. So Lily, can you guys find it? Are there seats in the rest of the room? Thank you. Grace Mack. Good afternoon. You're fired up and ready to go.
Yes.
Good
All
afternoon.
right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, and thank you for letting me speak today. I am here in favor of House Bill 1217. The fact that we have women here today advocating to keep men out of our locker rooms and bathrooms is disappointing. I swam competitively for over 10 years and coached it for over 6. And like everybody else here, I use public bathrooms. Women's bathrooms and locker rooms especially are spaces that are designed to help us feel safe. From what I've heard, bills that protect girls' spaces have been vetoed twice now in New Hampshire. As a 20-year-old female who has sisters and who works with high school students and has coached athletes, that makes me feel like my rights and safety and every other woman's rights and safety do not matter as much as affirming people's feelings in New Hampshire. It is frustrating to me that the Granite State has continued to enable people's feelings over safety, because this issue is a matter of safety. It is beyond politics and it is beyond feelings. As someone who has experienced firsthand how frightening it feels to have men in women's bathrooms, I am urging for this bill to be passed. Keeping our sports and bathrooms separated by biological sex is not hateful. It is not discriminatory. It's just telling the truth. It is not our job, women's job, to give up our sports, bathrooms, and locker rooms for the sake of affirming false identities and people who clearly need help. Thank you. I'll take questions.
Thank you very much. Where are you coaching?
I used to coach at Executive Swim Club, and I used to coach for the Rays, but with my current job, I've had to step away for a while, more in the politics realm of things.
Gotcha. Thanks for coaching. Questions? Nope.
No?
Have
All
a
right.
good day. Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Victor Orlando. I wanted to say Orlando, but it twirled like an ace. Thank you for coming today, sir.
Thank you. Perfect, thank you. My name is Victor Orlando. I live in Hollis. I am the son of my mother. I am the husband of my wife. And the most important title I have is I am the father of my daughter. I would like to remind everyone the reason we have separate spaces for men and women in the first place. And it's not to keep the women out of the men's spaces. We do this because as a society, as we've grown and become more civilized, we understand the need to protect the most valuable group of our population, and it is our mothers, our sisters, our wives, and our daughters. I ask that we look at history and we look at everything that's happened in our country to this point, and we examine that when we look at this bill and we say, why are we doing this in the first place? Why are they separate in the first place? It's to protect the women of the United States. It's to protect our daughters. I understand that there are some people who believe they are the wrong sex, and they have my empathy. But that does not mean we have to sacrifice the safety of our women to reaffirm the belief of someone else. We need to protect them. Otherwise, what is all this for? Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll take them.
When you say protection, do you mean including privacy?
Yes, I mean keeping our women's spaces separate from our men's spaces to protect our women from the men.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes, Senator, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in protecting women, what about protecting transgender women, transgender girls? Do they
So-
deserve the same kind of protection?
I'd like to clarify, because I'm going to be honest, I get a little confused when we're speaking of trans men or trans women. When you say trans women, are you referring to biological men who believe they are women?
I'm referring to transgendered women. I won't, that's not a definition
I'm not
that
trying to be
exists.
difficult. I
Okay.
have a hard time following the terms and the titles myself
So
personally.
let me rephrase.
Yes,
Do you believe that transgendered women are women?
I believe that people who have an X chromosome are women, and we need to do the right job as a society and protect them.
Thank you. Follow up? Nope, all set. All set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alethea Smith. Good afternoon, ma'am. Nice scarf. I like it.
Thank you. Uh, Chairman, Senators, my name is Alethea Smith. I live in Ashland, New Hampshire. And I am opposed to all three of these bills, HB 1217, HB 1447, and HB 1299. I don't know how to condense what I wrote, so I'm going to leave it. Basically, what we're trying to do here, what this bill is trying to do, what these bills are trying to do, is remove rights from a marginalized population. The only reason to do this has nothing to do with evidence, because there is no evidence. There's no evidence that transgender people are killing it on the sports field. There is no evidence that of the 3,000 medals awarded in the Olympics since transgender people have been allowed to compete, none have been won by transgender people. Of the 67% of New Hampshire youth who play sports, that's 253,670 youth. How many are transgender? 2, 3? Are they killing it on the playing field? No, they're not. In fact, I'd defy anyone to pick a transgender athlete out of a lineup on the field. There is no evidence that trans women disproportionately assault women in correctional environments or in bathrooms. There's no evidence. So the only reason that the only evidence that I've ever heard is that it makes people uncomfortable. And the problem with that is we're going to now legislate somebody's comfort over my safety. Because what's going to happen if I'm forced to go into the male bathroom is I will get assaulted. Trans women are 4 times more likely to be assaulted than cisgender women and girls. And if we start to examine people to make sure that they are not transgender, who's going to bear the brunt of that? Women and girls are going to bear the brunt of that embarrassing, invasive examination. These laws don't protect women and girls at all. I'll leave the rest of my testimony. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Yes, Senator Oshler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for indulging a question. Are you familiar with the situation that happened about a year ago at the Liberty Hotel in Boston, where 2 cisgender women were using a restroom and one was misidentified as a transgender person?
Ma'am?
Yeah. And so that kind of situation, is it your opinion that this bill will make that kind of vigilante justice more prevalent in New Hampshire?
Yes.
And does that put you at risk?
It doesn't put me at risk. It puts women and girls at risk.
Right.
Those who don't conform to white cisgender beauty standards, whether they're too tall or too heavy or don't have the right shape or have the wrong haircut, those women and girls will be potentially accosted because they don't fit into what others think they should.
Follow up, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
So with the description you're giving, it sounds like what you're saying, and please interrupt and correct me if I'm wrong. The gender non-conforming people, whether cisgender or transgender, are the ones that will raise eyebrows for people who are real interested in being the bathroom police. And that endangers everybody, because it sounds like, if I know my statistics in New Hampshire, there are less than 1% of the New Hampshire population is transgendered, but people
Senator, you're
who,
sort of testifying at the moment. You're supposed to be eliciting testimony. But finish
so
up.
this minority is actually put, like, us targeting with this legislation, this teeny tiny minority is actually going to open up a wider door to accuse people who are gender nonconforming or don't look female enough to someone to be harassed for being in a space that they may not supposed to be in.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, less than 0.5% roughly of people in New Hampshire are transgender. And indeed, in trying to persecute this small minority, we will in fact open up women and girls, trans and cis, gender nonconforming people, those who don't fit somebody's vision of what a woman should look like, will expose them to harassment. Absolutely. These are bad for the public in general. And I would argue that these bills, we shouldn't even be considering them. They don't rise to the level of, the evidence doesn't support them rising to the level of a compelling state interest.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
No, okay.
Cat is a Legier. Legier. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for hearing my testimony. My name is Kat Legier. I serve as the I-93 Regional Campaign Manager for the ACLU of New Hampshire. I'm testifying in opposition to HB 1217 and all the other trans bans being heard this afternoon. Every day, I get to work with LGBTQ+ Granite Staters and families who make New Hampshire a vibrant place to live and work. Whether you recognize it or not, trans folks are your neighbors, your honorable colleagues here in this building, and above all, they are your constituents. Did you know that you have used the bathroom with a trans person without realizing it? You have shared meals and places of worship with trans folks, and you might not have even known it. You have shaken hands at your polling place with a trans person and didn't think twice. Trans people have been your server at your favorite restaurant, your barista handing you your morning coffee. They have bagged your family's groceries and cared for you in a time of medical need. And yet, some of you have chosen to file legislation specifically to target trans people, including 6 separate bills aimed at restricting their right to use the bathroom and their right to human dignity. I hear so often from trans folks and their families that they are tired of being expected to come to Concord week after week and justify their humanity in just 2 to 3 minutes of testimony. They are tired of driving to the state capitol to ask to use the bathroom without fear of harassment or assault. Because yes, transgender people are more likely to be victims than perpetrators in bathroom settings. When you factor in the other 5 copy and paste trans bans, the time spent begging for dignity in these halls add up. That's not including all the other ways this legislative body attempts to attack the LGBTQ+ community. Transgender Granite Staters are exhausted and quite frankly traumatized from having their identity up for debate by legislators who took an oath to represent them. I'm here to once again urge you to see these bills for what they truly are, a gross distraction from the real issues impacting our communities, from the need for affordable housing, childcare, and adequately funded public education. Please do right by your constituents, whether they are trans or not, and lay this and all other extreme and discriminatory trans bans to rest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. David Trumbull. Good afternoon, Mr. Trumbull.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
I'm David Trumbull from the town of Ware. I oppose this bill. It is essentially a bill that tries to legalize discrimination against trans people. It denies them their opportunity to participate fully in our society, and it does that really by denying their existence in our society. You see it in the rhetoric. And you see it in the meaningless definition of biological sexes in the bill that uses the same word to define itself. Let's look at the sports issue. The bill says that strength, speed, or endurance is generally recognized to give an advantage to biological males. Those would be the cases it applies to. But the studies show that after 12 months of hormone therapy, there is no competitive advantage. By 18 months, it's even stronger that that's not the case, and certainly by 24 months. So if the issue is competitive advantage, then why don't you just have a bill that says if an athlete is on this medication for a period of time and there is no competitive advantage, they can compete in the sport gender in which they identify. Consider
Can I
this.
just ask you a question here? I'll give you more time.
Okay.
So in New Hampshire, we passed laws outlawing that practice of giving children under 18 trans medication.
Okay, New Hampshire does not have a law that prohibits children from receiving that medication.
another
It has a
state.
law that prohibits children from
In-state.
getting that medication from a healthcare provider in New Hampshire.
That's correct.
Right?
Okay.
So
Yep,
if someone
we're on.
is already grandfathered in, they're doing it, and or they can go to Boston to get their treatment.
I'm good. I didn't mean to. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Okay. So back to sports. Take the situation of a young transgender girl who socially transitions in elementary school, takes puberty blockers, gets on hormone therapy. She's never gone through a growth spurt. She has no testosterone. She probably has less testosterone than the other women that she's competing against. There's no competitive advantage. The only impact of this bill would be to decrease the transgender girl's ability to access sports.
Go ahead. Keep going.
That was my main point on sports. On the bathrooms, I totally agree with the previous speaker that this bill would just increase scenarios for conflict. If the issue really is safety and privacy, this bill is going to force transgender women to go to the men's bathroom and transgender men to go to the women's bathroom, increasing scenarios where people are going to say that something is wrong here, asking for help from security or taking it into their own hands. Right now, people go the transgender woman goes to the women's bathroom and nobody knows the difference. The transgender man goes to the man's bathroom and nobody knows the difference. It's actually going to make things worse if you pass this bill. So if you really think it's about safety and privacy, this bill wouldn't satisfy your demand on either of those issues, the sports or the bathrooms.
Senator Abbas has a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you for taking my question. And I know you're always willing to answer the hard questions. Thank you for coming here today. And how many so you're talking about a biological woman that now transitions to basically a trans man at this point. How often do the circumstances occur where that trans man is playing on the male team?
So sorry.
Because you said after 12 months of hormone treatment, it's considered to be.
So you're asking about the opposite scenario where there is
Yes.
a person who transitions to being a trans man. What would be the scenario there? Well, for one thing, this bill doesn't address, if I understand it correctly, this bill does not address that case at all.
I'm asking did the study look into that because your testimony was after 12 months of hormone treatment, there's no competitive difference between the two. I'm just wondering in the opposite circumstances that is the same application.
I'm not sure. The study that I was referring to it's from the Canadian Center for Ethics in Sports. And it said, the title of it, if you want to look it up, is called Literature Review Does Not Support Bans on Transgender Women Athletes. And it says there's no firm basis available in evidence to indicate that trans women have a consistent and measurable overall performance benefit after 12 months of testosterone suppression. The review suggests that sports should support inclusion of trans women in the female category in sport until there is robust and peer-reviewed evidence that it is not safe or fair to other competitors. And this was a review of 10 years of literature, peer-reviewed studies. So it was specifically about transgender women.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you,
Other
Senator.
questions? We're all set. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir. Amy Teravakis? I'm not getting invited to any Greek things, right? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
My goal is that we'll get my name right by the end of the hearings today. For the record, my name is Amy Teravecchia. I am here speaking on behalf of both myself and my organization, 603 Equality.
It's just the A at the end.
Yep,
Okay. It looks like an.
my penmanship's horrible, so I do not fault you.
He's got it spelled.
So we've been here before. We're going to be here for 2 more committee hearings today too. We've heard from so many folks on so many bills why this is a bad idea for New Hampshire, not just for the trans community, but for New Hampshire. As someone who identifies with the gender that they were assigned at birth, this bill would make my life harder. For folks in the disability community, this bill would make their lives harder. As the mother of 2 children, thinking about the days when I had to escort my kids into the restroom, it would have made my life harder then, and it would have made their father's life harder as well. This bill has far-reaching consequences. Privacy and safety are important for all of us, and I am telling you that this bill and the others like it would open us up for more privacy and safety concerns. Think about the business owner who now is deputized to have to inspect someone's gender in order to allow them to use the restroom if someone claims that they are trans. Think of the scenarios that this would open up to if someone is not conforming to the gender standards of the day. We are in a building filled with portraits of men who are wearing wigs and tights and heeled shoes. The way in which we express gender changes. I'm happy to take any questions. Please, ITL.
Hi, I have been asked to read testimony from someone who didn't dare come here. And I'm not sure I can do it all in 90 seconds, so there's only 1 copy, but I'll give it to you if I don't finish. Is that okay? Okay. So thank you for the opportunity to submit testimony. I'm a transgender woman, resident of the state. Due to professional obligations, I am submitting this testimony to be read on my behalf in opposition to these bills. As an attorney, every day my clients look to me for guidance and strength in the courtroom. I stand before judges and opposing counsel, many of whom knew me before I came out, and I am addressed correctly, treated with dignity, and trusted to advocate for people. I fight to keep families housed, to protect stability, and to ensure fairness in systems that can be overwhelming. In that space, I am respected. But if I walk out of a hearing and need to use a restroom, I am suddenly in an impossible position. To comply with the law, I would be forced to enter a space that doesn't reflect who I am, risking confusion, confrontation, or humiliation. Despite all of my professional accomplishments, despite the number of granted staters I have kept from homelessness or other crises, in that moment, I am reduced in a way that no professional or anyone seeking the protection of the state courts should be. The shift is not theoretical, it's immediate. For transgender people, it is not about politics. It is about whether we can exist in public spaces without fear or degradation. There is no safe or reasonable alternative being offered. Avoiding restrooms is not sustainable. Being forced in the wrong space is not safe. I am not asking for special treatment. I am asking for the ability to live and work in this state with some basic dignity. I don't know this person, but I'd like to meet her.
Excellent. Proud to be here, sir. Good afternoon. As you just said, my name is Sylvia Springer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, for this opportunity to speak in strong support for House Bill 1217. I support House Bill 1217 because women, girls, and men and boys deserve single-sex spaces, sports, and privacy based on biological sex. This bill protects biological reality and ensures both sexes can have safe, private, dignity, respecting spaces, free from members of the opposite sex. I am also here as a child sexual abuse survivor, but I speak to you today as a sexual abuse thriver. I am here to give a voice to the children who live in that trauma today and don't dare speak out. With this happening to me as a child, it would have added an even more horrific trauma to my violated child's mind, soul, and spirit if I'd lived in a world where a man or boy could come into my girl's bathroom or school locker room. Even the thought of that possibility happening to a young child in a school today or a YMCA locker room is horrifying to me. I'm telling you right now, there are precious young girls and boys who are sexual abuse victims in this state, in schools, who will be traumatized once again if you don't vote yes on these three bills. If my voice for them today saves even one child abuse victim from this additional trauma, thank God. Nelson Mandela once said, "True character of a society is revealed in how it treats its children." I will end these words from Genesis 1, verses 26a and verse 27. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." God created man in his own image. He created him in the image of God. He created them male and female. My support and comments also are to apply to House Bill 1299 and House Bill 1447. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time today. God bless all of you and give you his wisdom as you vote yes on all three of these bills.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm going to start off with a rhetorical question. Let me ask each and every one of you, this personal question. Do you have a daughter, mother, sister, or niece, or a grandmother in your life? Take a moment to truly consider the women and girls you care about. Do you care about their fundamental well-being? Do you care about their safety, privacy, or their dignity? My 16-year-old daughter, like all women, deserves the unequivocal right to feel safe, secure, and protected in every public and private space. Furthermore, I, as an adult woman, deserve the exact same sense of safety and protection, especially in private, intimate spaces like public bathrooms, changing rooms, and locker rooms. These are spaces where personal privacy is paramount, and they should be places free from any fear of intrusion, harassment, or discomfort. It's not just a preference, it is an imperative and moral obligation that we protect our girls and women. We must actively safeguard the physical privacy and emotional comfort of biological females. The question we must address as a community and as a legislator is this: why are the fundamental, long-established rights, comforts, safety of biological women and girls being consistently compromised, diminished, or dismissed to accommodate a very small specific group of individuals who, in this current climate, is genuinely actively safeguarding the well-being and privacy of these women and girls who constitute half of our population? We must, with clear intention and conviction, draw a firm line in the sand. This is a matter of common sense, fairness, and biological reality. Therefore, I urge you as members of this legislative body to please stand up for the women and girls of this state and unequivocally support House Bill 1217. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and yes, my name is Scott Files. Thanks for hearing testimonies today. I'm here from Somersworth, New Hampshire, in fierce opposition to this bill. Currently and historically, the trans community is being used as a scapegoat to draw attention away from other issues, to inflame emotions. We've heard it from the folks who have testified today in support of this bill. They're fearful of men in women's clothing going into bathrooms with some, sexual motivations. And over the years, as I've been watching these legislative moves, I've been able to understand the supporters of these bills fall into three categories, in my opinion. There are people who don't like trans people, people who don't believe that trans people exist, and people who don't understand what trans is and are fearful. I was intending to kind of focus my testimony on that final category and explain a little bit more about what being transgender is as a trans person myself, to kind of humanize us a little bit more. But excuse me, I think I'm going to shift back to just the fact that trans people exist. Senator Altshuler mentioned earlier when she asked, do you believe that trans women are women? Trans women are women who weren't born as women, but they are fully women. And the way that we have been asking for protections for women today should apply to trans women as well. I am a trans man. I'm fully a man. I wasn't born male, but that doesn't detract from my identity or my existence as a man in this state. And that's about all I've got, but I wanted to also mention to Senator Abbas that I consider myself an athlete in some capacity. So if you have any questions about trans male athletes, I'd be happy to answer that as well.
Just a quick question. You said you had three groups here locally. You think it might just be fathers concerned with their daughter's privacy and the wife's privacy? And they're not thinking at all about the second offense. It's just really, they're looking for privacy rights for their daughters. They have no real need to disappear.
I can see that, but as written, this bill would significantly and disproportionately affect the transgender community. So if their motivations might not be targeted in that way, but I believe it's relevant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for taking my question. I asked the previous witness about how often a biological woman who becomes a trans male plays on the male team, how often that occurs. I think he's referenced a study that only studied the reverse, but it suggested that after 12 months of hormone therapy, the playing field would be equal. I didn't know if you know of any circumstances where that and the opposite would be accurate.
I know, or at least in my understanding in articles I've read, research that's been done, and the focus is usually on trans women. So people who are born and maybe went through male puberty, who then have gone through hormone replacement to go in the opposite direction. I can speak to my own personal experience as someone who was born and assigned female at birth, went through female puberty, played on women's sports teams my whole life. When I started taking testosterone as part of my social and medical transition, I felt differences in my body. I got stronger, faster. I felt internally I was slightly more competitive, but that might have just been an increase in confidence that I felt as I was living my own truth. But it by no means made me some sort of exceptional athlete. It just kind of shifted my skills on the playing field ever so slightly, but it didn't make me into some Olympic male all-star by any means. And I don't believe that folks who go in the opposite direction would also experience some sort of advantage disproportionate.
If I can, it's a completely different question, but you mentioned that some of the people that testified that support this bill do so out of fear. And what I hear from whether someone supports it or they oppose this policy is you have, in the trans community, a trans woman is afraid to use the men's bathroom. Then you have biological women that are afraid of a trans woman, or they're uncomfortable, you can mix and match those if you want. They're uncomfortable if a trans woman uses the girls' room. So I'm hearing I'm hearing both sides, even though in opposition, I perceive it as saying the same thing. They raise the same concerns. So I'm just wondering if what your thought is on that.
My thought is that the fear of a man going into a woman's restroom or a trans woman going into a men's restroom, as would be forced to happen if this bill were passed, the fear is of men performing assaults of some sort in either space. Trans women, as I said, are not men. They are women who were not assigned women at birth, but they are women now. I'm no expert on statistics, but I don't believe that there's a significant portion of trans women who commit assaults. Everyone is quoting men in dresses. Men in dresses are not trans women. So does that answer your question? I'm sorry.
Final question. When you say a trans woman's a woman, are you talking about someone that's like fully transitioned at that point? Or are you?
We can get into the weeds about when someone fully qualifies as a trans person of either gender. I don't have an answer to that. I would be hesitant to speak for someone, but people can be trans without receiving medical assistance with that. People have been trans long before we even knew what testosterone and estrogen were. So I wouldn't be comfortable making a statement on that, I think.
And thank you. I appreciate you answering the questions directly.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for answering my questions. Maybe just question. The way somebody experiences transition is different for everyone. There may be some common themes, but the experience is different. And was that not correct?
Just as everyone's life experience is different, every trans person's experience is different. Yes.
And may I follow up? Thank you. So in looking at this legislation, we are pulling out a specific protected class that we had previously made an effort to put in because we recognized that discrimination was there and we wanted to protect them. What would happen? I mean, where would you be if we were having this discussion instead and we had plucked out race instead of gender identity?
Where would I be personally?
Yeah.
I would hope that I'd be sitting in the same seat saying that would be just as unjust. And I've grappled with that actually myself of, you don't really, would I be standing up to speak right now if I weren't part of this marginalized community? And I've been reflecting a lot on that. I hope that I would for any marginalized community, race, religion, sex, gender identity, everything that is currently protected. But I think they are all equally as valid and worthy of protection.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
We're going to take a 1 minute recess.